Broadcast is back, baby.
And you need to play in order to find all those problems that you talked about. So would you say that part of your job is to make the game fun?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so first I try to come up with something that's fun, and there what I said earlier, movies and games, and oh, you have your cat in the background. Movies, games, and everything else creative I consume comes into play because that gives me ideas. So I this year I listened to the whole works of Mark Twain, and there was some interesting stuff there that gave me some ideas of directions I could go in. Because many people have ideas. I have ideas all day, but at some point it gets to the point where you have to separate good from bad ideas and try to come up with more better ideas, if you know what I mean. Um, and so that's where like inspiration comes in to give you a starting point, a direction you can go in. And once you've come up with something that could be fun, then you really try to make it fun by working on it, looking at the tasks you created for the players to complete, seeing is it nice? Is the player always doing something a bit different? How's the pacing? And so yeah, even with a story, with the story part of my job, that is a huge concern I spend my days with. So what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks has been redesigning a certain map we had. We saw it was too easy, doesn't work, and so I went over it. I threw out a whole bunch of cities you could play. I threw out a whole bunch of businesses that would pop up on the countryside, and now I hope it's a bit more fun to play because it's not as easy anymore.
Hmm. Man, that sounds hard.
Wait, I could never draw to the quality you do, so I guess that's why we both have our jobs.
Thank you. So yeah, that's true. You're also responsible for the story. Um, how 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 you define game design, like the job position, in one sentence?
In one sentence, wow.
Yeah, because the way I see it's like it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, a game designer designs and tweaks the game systems in order to I'm trying to not get into hot water by saying something like immersion or something. My professors would smack me. Um,
Why? What's the problem with immersion?
oh,
What's wrong?
it that's a huge can of worms. So like when you hear immersion, you think, oh
Really?
wow, that's a great term. It's really useful, but
Yeah.
no, it isn't. It's very ill defined. There's like multiple types of immersion. There's
What are the
this
different types of immersion? Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
um so in order to create a series of interesting decisions. So to say that again, a game designer's job is to create and tweak a game's systems in order to create a series of interesting decisions in the game. And the interesting decisions part of that sentence I have stolen. I think that's from theory of fun and game design, but I'm not sure. Please don't quote me on that. But that's how I would, off the top of my head, define the game design position. And of course, that varies hugely from company to company and studio to studio. It extremely depends on whether you're working for a small indie team with like 5 employees, or if you're working for Ubisoft with thousands of employees. So in a company like Ubisoft, your range, what you're allowed to do, might be very restricted. So from what I've heard, I've never actually worked for Ubisoft. Disclaimer. So from what I've heard, that could go into your job is to def- uh, design like this very small subsection, work on like car-based combat, and then you do nothing else for 3 years. But if you're working for an indie team, you sometimes you get to work on voice acting. Sometimes you get to work on working on the maps. Sometimes stories. Sometimes so at Gaming Minds, we have two game designers. Our creative director is one. He did the main thing of game design, and then there's me. And my balance was more doing story than game design. But still, both of us, we did some writing. We did some feedback on characters. Like in a small team, your day is more varied, I would say.
Hmm. Yes. So the smaller the company, the more hats you need to wear, right?
Yes,
Yes.
feels a bit like a Team Fortress game, but yes. But it's the same for you, I think. So I think you actually worked for Ubisoft, and you have the direct comparison, but from an art perspective, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I would say so. I would agree with you. The bigger the company, the more focused in your area they expect you to be. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Um, while you're talking, I came up with this question that I'm wondering: would you say that engaging and fun are not necessarily the same?
Yes, absolutely. So
Hmm,
that's why I said a series of interesting decisions and not make the game fun,
hmm.
because it very much depends on what type of experience you're creating. Sometimes with a serious game, you don't want people to feel like really fun while they're learning about Nazi Germany, and
Oh,
some um,
okay.
or sometimes when you're designing a horror game, that's not really fun. And so fun is something you have depending on the envisioned experience, not like as a universal experience of playing games.
So designing a horror game is not necessarily fun, but playing it, it's absolutely fun. And but it, in a weird way, right? Because you're just
Yeah,
getting scared all the time.
yeah, exactly. So, like, I wouldn't. So, yeah, I guess it's all fun at the end of the day, but I wouldn't put the fun felt while getting scared and running away from monster in a horror game to on the same level as fun, like when you're playing Sims and you make your sim excel in their job. I'm not saying like quality wise on the same level. It's just not the same thing, and it's not. And you have to separate the two if you want to create either experience.
But they're both engaging, right?
Exactly. They are
Yeah,
both engaging in different ways, but they are both engaging.
man, that's interesting. Earlier on, you mentioned about different types of immersion. What did you mean by that?
Okay. So I don't know all of them off the top of my head. It's been sometimes
That's
I've
okay. That's
I've
okay.
read the article. So like there is narrative immersion, for example. You feel immersed in a game's or even a movie's narrative, and you want to see how it continues. Then there's spatial immersion, that you are walking around in the world and actually feeling like you're there. And that's different from story immersion. Uh, that is different experiences. If you want to read the article, I don't know it by heart, but I know who wrote it. That's by Marta Heggesberg, who was one of my professors at Breda University. So
Hmm.
it's a great article. Just Google Marta Heggesberg immersion.
Marta here. No,
Mata, Mata.
MATA immersion. Okay, let's take a look. That's interesting. Oh man, I don't know how to write her name. I'm sorry. Game design.
Ah.
Let's look for Mata okay. Learn game design tricks to keep players immersed in a story. At GDC Europe, longtime game designer Mata Haggis. That's the
Haggis,
one?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Will deliver an intriguing talk on the many small design choices made to amplify the narrative of fragments of him through player interactions. Man, that's interesting.
I
Okay,
found
so
the ResearchGate article. So his four types are systems immersion, spatial immersion, empathic and social immersion, and narrative immersion. Ah, yeah, I got two almost right.
wow,
I'm going to send you the link. But yeah, that's a great article.
I'm opening it. 1 second. Four categories for meaningful discussion of immersion in video games. Man, I'll never think about it. For me, I open it. There's a chart here. Let's see if I can share this with on the video. That would be cool to have on video. 1 second. Let me try to do it. Share screen. Automatic start screen sharing. Right. Okay, he wants me to restart my computer. No, not gonna
Oh no.
happen. So we're not sharing the screen today, guys. Um, but I can go through the four categories real quick. So there's
Mhm.
systems immersion, spatial immersion, empathic social immersion, and narrative sequential immersion. So those are like different ways that you can basically hook the player into the game.
Yeah, for me, the most important
So
one there would be empathic and social immersion. I'm
mhm.
going to read out the definition. An emotional connection with the characters or social context of the game.
Jonas,
And
one second. Your mic is breaking.
oh no, is it getting better now?
No, it's popping.
Okay, how about now?
It's still popping.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
What you could do, sometimes it works. You go into settings,
Yes.
audio, and then you turn on and off echo or noise suppression. Not on Windows, I mean in the studio.
Yes. Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm sorry about that. So an emotional connection with the characters or social context of a game. That is really something that has been interesting to me for a long time, and it's part of the reason why I like RimWorld so much, because through the stories the game creates, you get to know the characters and you get to care about them. Like I still remember my first session of playing RimWorld. Well, my first colony, where I had this doctor that was incapable of violence, and it was just 3 guys in my colony. And one winter he had to go out to gather some food, and he was attacked by a wolf and he died. And it was the most tragic thing.
So that's also a system immersion, right? Because no, you didn't make any choice at that moment. It just
No.
happened to you. Okay.
Exactly. So he went out. I realized he was being attacked by a wolf. I tried to get him home. I tried to send my other 2 colonists to help him, but they were too late. And so there wasn't anything I could do at that moment to save him. I could just witness his death and then bury him afterwards in a sarcophagus.
I would say God of War. It's also like that. There's a lot of empathic emotion, right? You're
Mhm.
connected with the characters.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big spoiler to say that there is father-son conflict in the game, and so sometimes you really feel like, oh man, Kratos, be more nice to your son, and sometimes you just chase you little shit.
It's part of the charisma, I would say, of the characters.
Yes,
Like this badass. It's the alpha male, doesn't talk, just eat meat and exercise. Yeah.
exactly. But the point of the story is that this is not good. that Kratos has to learn about not being his gruff self all the time. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's something really you get through social immersion, just engaging with the characters, thinking about what they're doing in the context of their world, and feeling like, oh yeah, maybe he shouldn't act like this, or maybe I in this situation would act a bit differently.
Yeah, for sure. I know you haven't played The Last of Us yet.
I've seen a let's play of the first one. I haven't played the second one yet.
Oh, you've seen it. How did you like it? How was it?
Very cool, very interesting. It's been a couple of years. It's wow. Back when I was watching Let's Plays on a regular basis, that's so long ago. um, but yeah, I really enjoyed the experience, even though I just saw someone else play it. And
What was your? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was pretty much done.
What was your favorite part of it?
I guess the giraffe. Seeing the giraffe pop out and Ellie being really happy to see it, and it was just a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorites as well, because the whole game is very frenetic, right? It's very action based and a lot
Hmm.
of high intensity events happening. And for one moment, there's bliss. For one moment, there's like calm, and you feel it as a player. You feel it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
You're being watched from the background.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could say that The Last of Us for sure it's one of my favorite games, and now I understand why. It's all based in this empathic immersion, and it's really fun to start thinking about your favorite games and how they fit into those 4 categories.
Exactly, and
Um,
that's why it's really unproductive as a game designer to just talk about immersion, because it can be all these different things. And when you say immersion, you might mean something very different than when I say immersion, and so that's why I like this article so much.
Watch full episodes of the Brewcast on the main YouTube channel, youtube.com/@brewfrasca.